So in order for us to create a new box, first of all, I just want to make sure that I know the size of my device because you're going to be using your resources on your computer. So I just need to make sure that I know the kind of system I have, the kind of hardware components and the sizes. So basically I have 64 GB RAM, I have 12 cores CPU, and I know my hard disk size already, so I don't have to check it, but I know what my hard disk size is. But you need to know all these things before you do anything. Now, the next thing is that we go on new, and we need to create a virtual machine. I just want us to call it Linux Try. So you can call it any name, but in this case, I want to call it Linux Try. That's the name of my virtual machine. So what I'm doing here is this. I have my computer, and this is the hardware component. And then I have my operating system, which is Windows 10. And then I have my hypervisor, which is VirtualBox. So, okay, maybe I'll draw it a bit different. I need a proper space to draw this. So let's say I have my box, my computer, and it has the hardware component, so the hard drive. I have the RAM, and again, I have my NIC. For my computer, there's an operating system, which is Windows. We've all seen I'm using Windows. I have my VirtualBox installed, so that's my hypervisor. But I also have a few softwares, like lots of softwares installed on my computer. Technically, these are other softwares. So softwares, these are some of my softwares that we have on. I have Adobe, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, blah, blah, blah. These are softwares, just like we have the hypervisor on there. But on top of the computer operating system, the hypervisor, we're going to be creating a VM, a box. Let's say we're creating only one box. So we call it Linux Try. That's what we're calling it. And so in there, I want to make sure that I get some parts. I have to tell the hypervisor, which is the VirtualBox, that, hey, can we create a virtual machine called Linux Try? That's me sending information to it. That's what we're doing now. So once I do that, I'll go to next. It will ask me, because the job of the hypervisor, so the hypervisor is asking me, how much RAM do you want? And maybe I'll say I need 2 GB RAM. So I'll say 2048, which is 2 GB. 2048, which is 2 GB. So that's what I'm telling the system. Can you give me 2048 RAM? So again, I'm saying the name is called Linux Try. I'm also saying that I need RAM to be 2 GB. That's me communicating to the hypervisor. Then I'll go to next, and then it's asking me, for your hard disk, what do you need? Now the system is allocating 8 GB for my hard disk. So the question will be, do you want to create a hard disk for your system separately, a virtual hard disk? Yes, I want to create a virtual hard disk. So clearly now what's happening is that we've told the hypervisor to create virtual RAM, which is going to be 2 GB. We've told the hypervisor, which is what we're doing now, to create a virtual hard disk, which is going to be, depending on how much we want, we're saying that it's going to be, maybe they say they're recommending that you keep it at 8 GB, but we said we want to create a hard disk. So we say create. And then it's saying that, okay, the VirtualBox disk image. So basically the hard disk is going to be a separate entity. So we want to make sure that this particular VirtualBox we're creating, there are different types of this particular virtual machine we're creating. We're saying that though we're creating it, we want it to be created for only VirtualBox. The virtual machine is only created for VirtualBox. We can select one that is created for in general so that we can run that same virtual machine when we use VMware. So we can import that virtual machine into VMware. If you're going for VMDK, that means that if we create the virtual machine on VirtualBox, we can still use it on VMware. But if you go for VDI, it means that when we create it, we can only use it on VirtualBox. That's what this particular question is asking us. Do you want to create a virtual machine that can only run on VirtualBox, or you want to create a virtual machine that you can import into VMware or other hypervisors? That's something that we have to decide. So we're just sticking with the virtual machine that comes with VirtualBox. And so here it's asking you, you're saying you've created a virtual hard disk, which is fine. We recommended that you should use 8 gig, but do you have a preference? If you're using dynamic, it means that you're not allocating directly the space for your hard disk. But what you're saying is that anytime you realize that you need space, you allocate, the hypervisor will allocate more space, or you can say, I want to have a fixed size. And so your fixed size, if we do fixed size, then it means that we have to determine how much we want. So maybe we want to go for, let's say 40 GB, maybe 40 GB. So the 40 GB is going to be the hard disk component. So at this point, what's happening is that your computer is creating your storage. So this is what's happening. It's trying to create the storage. But don't forget, once this is happening, it means that even if you have 1 terabyte, that 1 terabyte is the same machine that we're going to be, part of it is going to be allocated to your system. So it will take some time for it to finish. So if it's 1 TB, then it means that that 40 GB is coming out of your 1 TB. So your computer itself will not have 1 TB again, because some part of it has been allocated to your virtual machine.